Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about Gravity Falls from beginning to end. So, let's get started. The world in Gravity Falls started long ago, before the modern world and before the unlimited worlds existed, like the second flat dimension, the flat creatures, and the flat brains where Bill lived.
Imagine living in the second dimension. Flat minds in a flat world with flat dreams.
But he freed and left his world because he didn't like it, and he was going to free the human dimension.
I liberated my dimension, Stanford, and I'm here to liberate yours.
But he destroyed his own world so that he could get out of it, and he's going to do the same to the humans' world. And because of the rules and the lack of physics in the nightmare world, it is bound to crash. So he wanted to merge the human world with the nightmare world. He started communicating with the humans, and he chose the name Bill instead of his real name. Evaporate 1 with an expression of horror and ecstasy on their face. A spaceship went down to Earth and created the Gravity Falls Valley. The spaceship sank into the ground, and people left the Gravity Falls Valley because of all the scary things that were there. It seemed like they fought Bill, and because of the writings on the wall, they also wrote down the way they summoned and defeated him. Now, we get to the year 1842. Quentin Tremblay. This man was the most embarrassing American president. He used to say weird things like attacking pancakes, but he was fired. After that, he went and made Gravity Falls, but because he was dumb, another man called Nathaniel Northwest was considered the founder of Gravity Falls after the disappearance of Quentin, who was actually preserved in peanut brittle so that he could wake up in the future. 150 years ago, the Northwests asked the Lumberjacks to build a castle on top of the hill, and they promised to invite the villagers to their balls every year. But after years of construction work, and after they invited the villagers, they kicked them out and broke their promise. And because the Lumberjacks used all the trees, a flood took over them and killed them while the rich were partying inside. Since that day, the castle became haunted and the Lumberjacks became zombies that we will see later on. The curse won't break until the Northwests keep their promise. Now let's talk about the Pines twins, the protagonists of the show. In the 90s, in New Jersey, lived a family whose father was strict and the mother worked as a psychic. They had 3 kids, Ford, Stanley, and Shermy, who was the twins' grandfather, who had a daughter and an unknown daughter, and married an unknown man, who had Mabel and Dipper. Ford and Stanley were really close brothers until the age of 12 when they found a crashed ship and repaired it to travel around the world. The 2 kids were bullied because Ford had 6 fingers, so Stan learned boxing to protect his brother and himself. He was good at it and even protected a girl that later became his girlfriend. The brothers were a team who protected one another and cheated on exams. Well, until one day when Ford got a scholarship, but Stanley didn't because he studied hard unlike Stanley. Stanley was dreaming about touring the world on his ship, but his brother preferred his studies. So he destroyed his brother's science project accidentally because he felt betrayed. This made it so Ford wasn't accepted into college. Their father discovered what happened and kicked him out of the house, and he ran away. In this scene, a baby showed up who seemed to be Mabel and Dipper's grandfather and the little brother of Stan and Ford. But the age difference between him and Ford and Stan made him look more like a grandson and not the father.
Family, Poindexter. Shermy's grandkids.
I have a niece and nephew?
He was supposed to be the dad, so it makes more sense. Or maybe they had an older brother. There were pictures of him on the walls with an older girl. She could be the twins' grandmother because she was old at the time that they were young. But however, this is just a theory. For now, let's get back to the brothers. Okay, Stan was away looking for treasures on the beach, but he couldn't find any, so he founded the Stanco Company. However, that failed too. He ended up changing his identity many times, became a thief, and even did some time, but he still scammed people. He even got married, but also got a divorce.
I'm no expert on women. Truth is, I've been divorced once and slapped more times than I can remember.
Ford, on the other hand, went to college, got many scholarships, and devoted his time to anomalous phenomena. While searching, he realized that Gravity Falls was the most anomalous place, so he ended up moving there. Stan was still poor, living in his car, and trying to contact his brother, but eventually didn't. Ford was building his own house on the Northwest's land that he easily bought because no one wanted to be in it. He started working and writing down every strange event into 3 notebooks. But he couldn't know where all those weird creatures and events come from. He found a pattern inside of a cave of a triangle creature and a book that warned him from reading the pattern, but he was too curious and then ended up summoning Bill. Nothing happened until he got him in his nightmares and gave him some advice and some information, and he even let him control his mind. Bill asked him to build a portal between the worlds so that he becomes a genius and finds all the answers. So Ford called his old friend, Fiddleford Hadron McGucket, a brilliant inventor, to help him build said portal. They also discovered where the spaceship was buried, took some pieces of it, and used that to build the portal. They managed to finish the portal, and in the very first trial, it sucked Fiddleford through, but when he came out, it seemed like he lost his mind and told Ford that the portal would bring destruction upon them, and that they had to break it before it does. Of course, Ford disagreed, so Fiddleford left him and created a memory gun to erase his own memories, because he was absolutely terrified of what he saw. He ended up creating the Blind Eye Society that helps anyone to forget what they see in the city. However, each time that he used the gun, he lost his mind until he became the Old Man McGucket. Now, let's go back to Ford when he discovered that Bill used him to destroy the Earth. He closed the portal and tried to hide everything about his research so that no one could find it, and decided to call his brother after 10 years to give him the only book that he didn't hide. He sailed with the other books and buried them. Stan was disappointed that after 10 long years, his brother called him not to live and travel the world with him, but just to ask for a favor. The two brothers got into a fight, and Ford fell inside the portal into Bill's dimension. By that time, Stanley was trying to turn on the portal to bring back his brother, but the only problem was that he needed the other two books. Stan had to turn the house into a mystery shack where he sold some stuff to the townies while pretending to be Ford. And like that, he tried to bring his brother back at night and sold stuff during the day. He also hired one of the townies, Soos, to work at the Mystery Shack and gave him a shirt that had an exclamation mark on it. Soos didn't know his father, but he did receive letters from him that were written by his grandma so that he didn't feel bad. He was disappointed when his father didn't make it to his birthday, and ever since that day, he hated his birthday. Mabel and Dipper did try to help him by teleporting him into the past and granting him a wish, which he used to get pizza instead of getting his dad back because he just didn't want him. By that time, Ford was in that dimension trying to understand it, and his brother was trying to help him by stealing some chemical material to open the portal. Dipper and Mabel, Shermie's grandkids, arrive at Gravity Falls. The kids were twins, but different, and always supported each other. Now in the present time, the twins have adventures and are exploring Gravity Falls. Dipper's smart and curious, and Mabel's childish and enjoys boys' attention. One day, Dipper found the third book randomly when Uncle Ford asked him to hang some banners around the forest. He started reading the book and finding out about the secrets, just like when he realized that dwarfs were real because they fell in love with Mabel and kidnapped her, but they used the vacuum cleaner to save the day. They also found a lake creature who was actually just Old Man McGucket trying to get his son's attention. They also discovered the wax museum that their Uncle Stan built in the past. Mabel made a wax figure for Uncle Stan, but his head was cut off. Then they discovered that it was the other wax figures who did that because Stan abandoned them. Gideon Gleeful was the first villain in the show. He liked Mabel and tried to make her go out with him using an amulet after she rejected him, but they managed to save her. However, he swore to get revenge, and in the third episode, we learned that he had the third book. Dipper tried to impress a girl from the town called Wendy, so he went with her to an abandoned mystery shack and discovered that its owners were ghosts who hated teenagers. But luckily Dipper was still a kid, so he got away. Dipper also realized that he didn't have chest hair, so he left to become a man, but in order to do so, he had to pass the Manitor's test, which was killing a multi-bear. However, he didn't kill it because they actually had the same music taste. At the end of the episode, he got one single hair. He also found a copying machine that copies everything, so he copied himself to be able to go out with Wendy and the aunt at the same time. Dipper found out that the Northwests weren't actually the founders of Gravity Falls when they were underneath the town, and that the Northwests had fooled all the townies. Mabel won a pig after guessing his weight at the carnival, and by that time, the time traveler Blendon Benjamin Blandon had arrived. Dipper didn't let Wendy befriend Robbie, so he used the time machine, but he had had to choose between her and Mabel, so he chose his sister and accepted her pig. Blendin Blandin was caught using the time machine repeatedly and was punished by cleaning weird stuff through time. Dipper got a character out of a video game to get revenge on Robbie, but things took a bad turn when he tried to kill Dipper. Dipper defeated him in the end. They fell into a hole where they were throwing useless things, and at the end of the fall, they went back to the start and found some frozen dinosaurs under an old house from the Jurassic World. Gideon tried to steal the Mystery Shack's contract, but failed, like usual. So he decided to use the third book to summon Bill and made a deal with him to get the safe's password from Stan's mind. At the same time, Bill wanted to get revenge on the Pines, so he got the safe's password. Soos, Mabel, and Dipper went inside the uncle's mind to save him, and they did, but it was too late because Gideon broke the safe and took the contract. Now that they no longer have a house, they moved in with Soos's grandmother. Gideon didn't want the house, but the books that were in there, so he got the first book from Dipper, and now he had two. Gideon thought that they had the last book, so he chased them with a giant robot. But after a long chase, Dipper defeated him, and Stan got all the books to finally open the portal and save his brother. By this time, the government got involved because of all the weird events, but they couldn't find anything. Dipper asked them about Gravity Falls, but the agents ignored him because he was still a kid. Dipper then tried to convince him that he knows things, so he summoned the zombies, but of course things got out of hand and the zombies attacked everyone. Stan then saved Mabel and Dipper and told them that he knows everything about the town, so they finally defeated the zombies because of the book's instructions. Dipper wanted to know the writer of the books, so he looked in a hidden place and found the diaries that were Ford's in the past. But when he got there, he found a weird man who they thought was the writer, but they defeated him and got him out of the basement after he turned into a monster to kill them. Soos also got out with a laptop that was locked with a password and had a big secret apparently. Dipper was obsessed with the password, so much that he even made a deal with Bill. However, Bill tricked him, took his body, and made him a ghost, but again, they defeated him and got everything back to normal. Bill was still not free, but he could make deals with people through the book, and we learn why. Dipper thought that it was Old Man McGucket who wrote the book because his name was on the computer, but his memory was lost, so he couldn't tell anyone. However, they managed to discover that it was him who founded the Blind Eye Society. You know, the one that uses the townie's memory gun to erase the memory of the townies whenever they saw something off. We all know he was Ford's friend and that they used to work together. Blendin, the time traveler, went back in time while running away from the Time Paradox Avoidance Enforcement Squadron and tried to get revenge from Dipper and Mabel and destroy their life, but they ran away and traveled to the past where they discovered Soos's history with his dad. At the end of the episode, they got into a race, they won, and got a wish that Dipper gave to Soos on his birthday. The Northwests asked for help from Dipper to get rid of the ghost, so they did and broke the lumberjack's curse after all those years. Finally, the lumberjack went inside the house. Stan was close to opening the portal, but the agents caught him, so the kids tried to help him, but discovered that he was stealing chemical material and that he wasn't the real Ford. But he managed to run away and get the kids' trust back after a fight. The portal finally opened and Ford came back.
My brother.
Instead of thanking Stan, he hit him for opening the portal. But then they told the kids about everything from the past and how he wrote the books. Agent Powers tried to get them again, but Ford erased their memories. Ford got with his family and spent a lot of time with Dipper because they were alike, and he also answered his questions. While looking through some stuff, Ford showed Dipper a dimension crack when they opened the portal that they had to protect from Bill. Stan nominated himself for the mayor position and won, but of course was fired because of his criminal record. Stan told Mabel to get Horsemane from the magical horse to protect the Mystery Shack from Bill. Stan took Dipper to the spaceship that was buried underground to explore it and offered Dipper to stay with him forever and let Mabel leave when the summer ends so that he could train him. In this scene, Dipper was scared of the guards who attacked him and took Stan, but he saved him. When they went back to the shack, Dipper told Mabel that he's going to leave her to stay with his uncle. So she went to the forest sad. Bill took the form of the time traveler and took the crack from her and destroyed it. Bill got his freedom and the portal between the two worlds opened because of of the crack. He then started making a mess in Gravity Falls, and then the whole world. Stan tried to stop him, but he petrified him and burned all the books so that he becomes undefeatable. Time Baby tried to stop him, but Bill got rid of him easily. Everything was bad, Mabel was gone, Dipper didn't have the books, and Stan was petrified. Dipper learned that Mabel was stuck in a huge bubble, so he went to save her. When he went inside the bubble, they found a colorful place where they could get anything they wanted, and Mabel was happy and didn't want to come out. That place tempted Dipper to stay, but his desire was stronger, and he ended up convincing Mabel to get out by telling her something about her childhood. Bill was trying to control the world, but he couldn't get out of the town because of the fake bubble around the town. The kids went back to the protected shack and built a giant using the help of Stan and all their friends in order to save Ford because he was the only one who knew how to defeat Bill. They attacked Bill's castle and got to the last floor of the triangle where they saved Ford and all the townies. Ford made a circle with some of the symbols of each character, just like he saw that wall around it, in order to defeat Bill. But they had to get Stan, and to do so, both of them had to make up. But Stan didn't want to, so the plan failed, and by mistake, Bill went inside of Stan's mind instead of Ford's because his head was protected from his memory from Bill. Inside Stan's mind, Bill was defeated, and Ford used the memory gun to erase Bill from his brother's memory. Bill was gone, and everything went back to normal. The creatures disappeared, as well as the mess in the town. Unfortunately, Stan lost his memory as well, and no longer recognized anyone from his family. So they took him to the shack and showed him pictures and things, so hopefully he gets his memory back. The weird thing is that Bill didn't come back, even when Stan got his memory back. But still, we wouldn't know until we got another season. Mabel and Dipper celebrated their 13th birthday, summer ended, and they went back to their home. Stan and Ford left for the North Pole because they heard there was some strange creatures there, so they finally achieved their childhood dream of exploring the world. And then Soos stayed in the shack to take care of it until the return of the brothers.